What's up, mobile gamers? It's Dronzer Gigs back with another tier list. You can probably already tell if you play the game. This is the flankers. I've got them all lined out on the bottom here, and we're going to rank them. Now, I didn't do a bunch of games playing them because honestly, I feel like a lot of you guys play the damage dealers, and I myself don't really play many flankers, but I've got a lot of good things to say about some of these flankers. And I think you guys are going to be surprised on my tier list. Drop a sub and share this with all the other creators if you want to, because they're going to get really mad. Everyone's going to hate this tier list. So I decided not to tease you guys and be like, oh, I don't really like this guy in a video where I play Yaw or something like that. And then you see the tier list and you're like, why does this suck? Why is he giving you so much stuff that doesn't even sound true? Because a lot of you guys are not going to like this tier list, and that's just the facts, honestly. Because I'm making this for the average player, and I think a lot of these heroes are very overrated. Aletta is probably the biggest one that you guys are like, she's what you think of when you hear overrated flanker. She's what you think of when you hear T3. Honestly, she's the poster child, and I'm not gonna be biased towards that. I know a lot of people like Aletta. I know that before her nerf, everybody loved her. They thought she was great, but I'm just not the biggest fan of how people put their opinions into play in this. So we're gonna try to be as unbiased as possible, and that's what the goal of this is. This is for the average player, somebody who just picks up the games like, I wonder who the best flanker is. Who should I be playing? Who should I go for? You guys know that you have the increased drop rate chance, right? You can like pick a mythic hero and there'll be a higher chance of them dropping and stuff like that. So I'm also going to take into account how you can get these heroes. For instance, Cosmo right here, he is only obtainable through the progress path. So you have to progress in order to get him. So you're not going to have him if you're kind of a lower to medium level account. And we're going to definitely be taking that into consideration. Again, this is Superior Season 1, or have you guys say that. So that this is just the first ultimate, right? So, for instance, Kazuma has a very good second ultimate, but right now he only has the first one. For me, I honestly prefer that he has his first ultimate, but for an objective type game mode, his second ultimate's better. So we're not going to be taking that into account. We'll kind of talk about Gatlin and how hard she is to counter and stuff like that, but I just want to give you guys a more well-rounded tier list for each of these heroes. So we'll start off with F, because I know a lot of you guys are like, why is there an F tier? And it's all like grayed out. It's like a white gray color, because I don't really think that this is a bad F tier. This stands for financial or funds, right? We're going to put this in here, funds, right? Funds. And that's because Vincent is only available in the arcade, and your average player is not going to spend the money to buy him. If you're looking at this tier list, do not spend the money to buy him, because honestly, let's say Vincent were free, right? Well, Vincent's like here. You can argue B for some of the really good players, but the average player, he's not very good. He's probably the lowest flanking hero in the game, maybe even lower than some of the vanguards that I don't like. You know who I'm talking about. But Vincent's just not really there. He's very difficult to get a hold of for the average player, and most players, if they see gameplay of Vincent, they're not going to want him very much. He's a very niche hero, and the average player is going to have to spend a lot of money to get him. I was that average player. When I first started my channel, I didn't have any gems. I had to pay out of pocket to get him. So when you're partnered with the T3 dev team, they do give you some gems if you're a creator. They're trying to help out their creators and get more content out there. So a lot of people had saved up being creators since day one. So even if they didn't get a lot of gems, they got enough to have Vincent. I had to buy him straight up. I'll tell you guys right now, Vincent cost me $200. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. He cost me $200 to get him, and he's not worth it. If he was S or A, then I'd say go ahead and get Vincent if you have the cash. But I got him for you guys, for the channel, because I wanted to make content on him, and he's not worth the money. He cost me $200, and that's honestly insane because he just now got his second ability, which does send out a hologram. But the problem is that he's very obvious when he uncloaks. You cannot kill while you're cloaked, right? That's his main part of his kit is you cloak and you're sneaky and you flank, right? But the problem is once he is invisible, he has a delay when he comes out of that invisibility, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. You just turn around and shoot him, and even if you miss, shoot him again. I mean, he has no health. He has no way to kill you fast if he's not already disguised. The only time he's very good is around corners. If you get them to come around the corner or they're around a corner and you jump and you go around that corner, I've shown you guys in my Vincent videos. It works the same with Cosmo and his tactical, but that's only the only way you can really get kills with Vincent, and it sucks because I wish he was better, and I wish that he had more potential, especially because he's pay to lose essentially. He needs a little bit of a buff. I'd say, like I said, C or B, but that buff is definitely needed because he wouldn't be overpowered if he could still strike. Because what you do is you give him the noise that he makes, you just up the volume of it a little bit so you know when you're being flanked. But that way he can come out of invisibility, and if you react and hear him in time, you're good. But if you aren't paying attention, he can come out of invisibility and kill you in time for you not to turn around if like somebody else shoots at you or something like that. And that's where he kind of struggles. So that's Vincent, F tier for funds. I'm just being honest with you guys. He's not worth the price. So we'll go into our next hero here. And I think we're going to show you guys what the S tier looks like. I know a lot of you guys are freaking out like, oh my God, who is he going to pick? And I'm putting y'all in S tier, you guys. Freak out. Link this to all the other creators. Link it to your parents, to your siblings. Like, what the hell am I even on, right? Ya's insane, you guys. She's very, very good. And she's so underrated. Everyone thinks she's not very good. And I talked to you guys about this earlier in the video. Gatlin. She is a immediate Gatlin counter because all you do is you go where the Gatlin sees you, the Gatlin starts firing, and once the first bullet hits, you use your second ability, right? Your second active, and it puts up that shield that reflects the bullets, and before the Gatlin can stop firing, you've knocked them all back and killed her. And honestly, bar none, that's S tier immediately. The ability to reflect shots is automatically a game changer because if you time it correctly, it doesn't matter how good the other player is. They will have either already wasted enough shots that you can dash in, or they'll kill themselves because they'll be shooting at you. I mean, who doesn't shoot at an enemy? I mean, that's exactly what you look for with some of these other flankers is to bait those shots, and Ya has the perfect ability for that. She's insane. She's so good. Her pistol does about the same, if not more damage than Neon's, and she has her dash. A lot of people underutilize the dash. You can use it to get away, to get in. You can use it to execute enemies. And honestly, if they did a little tweak where her dash had like a different, not like necessarily tracking, but if you dash and somebody takes the kill while you're in the dash, like that person dies while you're dashing, it should give it to you. Because a lot of the time you'll see me dash in my videos, see me dash, and they die like right before I get there or almost as I get there, and you can't even tell. And that's the only downside to Ya is the dash sometimes isn't very nice. Her pistol's still great, still pokes at range. Her dash is insane because you can literally chain it. You go boom, boom, boom. If you can get the right person where you dash at the one that's lowest and then your team is still doing damage or you're doing damage to the other one, you can dash almost immediately after and your ability was always off cooldown. And It's busted. It is busted for sure. And I hate saying that because I would say that most people don't play Ya and they don't really recognize her. Um, and me personally, I like all the other flankers. I like them all. I like all these flankers except for Vincent. I will play these flankers and I love playing these flankers. But Ya's just S tier, you guys. Her ultimate can wipe the entire team without even trying. Like all you have to do is pop it, and unless somebody's already shooting at you and they kill you before it like pops off and like activates, you're gonna wipe the whole team. It takes a very unskilled player to be good at Ya with her new ability. That shield gives you all the learning gap and leeway that you need to be good at Ya, and that's why she's an S tier. She's a counter to Gatlin. She can counter damage completely, turn your own fire against you. She has a team wiping ultimate. Her pistol's not bad. I mean, there's not really much to say other than that. Once she has her second ability, her second ultimate, she's gonna be busted and it's gonna be insane. And I can't wait for it. I'm gonna be maining Ya if she gets her second ultimate. But then again, a lot of these guys, if they have their second ultimate and it doesn't get changed, right? Because there is a chance that the second ultimates will be changed. It's going to be insane. Ya is great. She's very much the most overlooked out of all of these flankers, and it's insane. It really is insane. So we're going to go down into A tier, and that's Johnny. Now, if you guys don't know, on the channel, I love Johnny. He's probably my second favorite flanker in this tier list, and I kind of don't want to put him at A. I kind of think he's B, and if it's my own personal opinion, he's C. This is me. I would put Johnny here. I think that Johnny in the hands of an average player is really good, so he could be kind of this BA range. And if I'm being unbiased, I'd say he has the potential to be A. Now the problem with Johnny is he's so counterable. I can't put him in S, and I think I'm going to drop him to B, all right? The reason being is he is easily counterable. If you know what you're doing, he's so easy to pinpoint and spot that it's not even hard to kill him. His ultimate's too slow. So in the hands of an experienced player, and I don't even know if I'm considered an experienced player, but in the hands of a good player, right? Somebody who has been playing the game for a long time, Johnny's A for sure. Pros, he's S. Like I said, I mean, S can be anybody if you're a good player, but B is where he lands for the average player base. And the reason is his ultimate is slow. His second tactical with the little orb thing, it does not do much at all. It doesn't really help you. And a lot of the creators, if you were to look at the creators, right, they'd probably put him in S. And maybe a few of them would put him in A. You're not going to see him in B because they're not being honest with themselves. And that's why I'm here, because Johnny is he's so easy to counter. If he had two of those pools of the mist or paint or whatever you even want to call it, right? His first active. If he had two of them, he's A to S for sure for the average player. But the problem is the other players or viewers that see people playing him, they look at it and they're like, "Oh, he looks like he's really good." And he kind of is because he can go invisible on the cart or the point. But the problem is when you start looking at like how he plays and what there is that can counter him, he's countered by every damage hero that has AoE damage. So Labula, Sindri, all of them, even Chemist, who's bad. He's countered by anybody that can do damage in an AoE. So Shell's second active ability, her second tactical, will put that ring out and do damage, and then it pings him. Um, Hua Ling's tactical, her passive, Hunter's tactical. I mean, he's so easy to counter, and that's just like countering with kits, right? If you know what you're doing, all you have to do is wait for him to land and then shoot left to right or right to left, whichever way you want to go, and just shoot, and eventually you'll hit him, pinpoint him and kill him. And that's how it is. He doesn't heal fast enough. His second active ability, that little ball that shoots the paint, is garbage. They need to buff it. They need to buff his health regen. He doesn't have a mag that can one tap anybody except maybe like a very low level flank or Vincent, right? So realistically, Johnny should be right here. I'm giving you guys the benefit of the doubt that not everybody knows how to counter him, and he does have the ability, if his ultimate is active, to sit on that point and get a few kills. So he'll kind of go up to B a little bit, but it just isn't there, and that's why he's going to be put there. We're going to go ahead and freak you guys out even more. Cosmo's A tier. Freak the hell out. Send this to everybody. What am I on, you guys? I've taken so many drugs to make this tier list. Just kidding. I don't even know how to explain it to you, because you see this tier list and you're like, what is this guy doing? It's so different from everyone else's, and that's one of the reasons why I like making tier list videos, because I try to be as objective as possible. And when you look at the tier list as it is right now, Cosmo is A tier simply for the fact that you can stay in the air, and he has the fastest mobility out of all of these heroes. If you're trying to close the gap, he is the fastest. He's the only hero that can hover, right? So most of your average players in like the bronze area and stuff like that, they're not going to look up. They're not going to. If you can play him right, you use his tactical to jump up into the air around a corner, and they're never going to see you. They'll be like, what? Where'd the Cosmo go? Unless they know how to counter him, he's very, very good. And his new ability gives him even more mobility on the battlefield. He's able to essentially fly wherever he wants, and he can cancel it by firing or using his other tactical. And not to mention, his ultimate, it recharges the tactical cooldown of all of your abilities. If you have his passive, you never run out of ammo as long as you hit your shots. So you can essentially chain all of his abilities together, and the only time you're ever going to be not in the air is if you don't have the ult and you mess up. So essentially what you have is the only hero that can stay in the air for an extended period of time. Even with OSAS, right? You jump as high as you can, you scope, and you fall down, right? That's the only hero that can even do that, but he's a sitting duck. Cosmo can move around, and he's got somewhat decent health. It's not very good. I think he needs a health buff, but he is insane. He's very hard to counter if the player is good. Most of your basic players probably don't even have him. Like I said, he's A tier because he's hard to get a hold of. And by the time you get a hold of him, you're going to already be pretty decent at the game. So the relative skill cap for Cosmo, you're going to have better players playing him just simply because he's hard to unlock. It's kind of like Vincent, but in a better way. If you play the game enough, you'll have enough experience by the time you get to Cosmo to be good with him. And so I think that if you're not taking into account the players that play him, if you were able to get him right off the bat like you can Aletta, then he goes down to like B or C. But most players are going to be good at the game. They're going to understand how to use him to counter different play styles and how to use him to move around the map in ways that none of these other heroes can. And I think that that's very understated for Cosmo, and a lot of people are probably not excited about this ranking. I kept C tier in there just for purposes of how it looks. We're not even going to use C tier. This is our next one. Aletta in the top of B. If you guys want to move her to A, that's fine. I personally think that her nerf was too much. She's not as strong as she used to be, and she basically, everybody in here, they do what she does but better, and that's very unfortunate. Even Johnny, I would say, Aletta can go here, here, or here, or here. It really doesn't matter too much. I think she's kind of like that top of B, bottom of A. Decent flanker, but you have to be good with her, and she just does not do what she used to do. She doesn't heal as much off of her ultimate, if at all, actually. Her rewind is very predictable, right? So you just wait for her to rewind, and unless you didn't see her, she like just came into view and then she rewinds. Essentially, what you're gonna do is if you're paying attention, you just wait for her to rewind, you follow it, there she is, kill her, boom, easy. Her ultimate doesn't do very much damage anymore, and the whole point of the ultimate was to deal damage, to heal, and to escape. So it makes her invisible, but it doesn't heal her, and it doesn't do enough damage. So I don't think she's very useful anymore. All of the other flankers do what she does better, except Johnny and Vincent. And the nerf was too much. If they reverted the nerf and they just maybe she doesn't heal on her ultimate, or maybe it does less damage, make her more of a utility flanker where she just peppers the enemy. But she's bad from range. She's not so good close up. The double jump's not very easy to use for somebody on mobile if they have a different control scheme. Most players won't even be able to use the double jump very well because they're newer, right? She's one of the first heroes you unlock. So I don't know, you guys. That's kind of, I know everyone's freaking out right now. You're probably going to be flaming me in the comments, but I tried to be unbiased and talk about this because this is where she truly sits, honestly. For the average player that hasn't played her, they just pick her up and they're like, let's see what she does. She's not going to be very good. I think that her ultimate should heal her. With the damage it does now, it's not enough. It should heal her, and she should be a utility support kind of flanker. That's what she should be. Is she's there to be annoying and not do too crazy amounts of damage. So that's where she goes. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna bring up Shell into the A tier here. She's A tier. If she hadn't gotten the nerf to her healing thing where she shoots you and she heals, she would be B tier um, as she is now, but I'm going to put her in A. And I think that she'd be S tier with that little bit more of a heal. I think her second ultimate would bring her up to S tier as well. And a lot of you guys probably put her either in B if you hate her or S if you like her. So we're going to go in the middle because I like Shell and I want to be unbiased. I don't think she's B. I think she's better than Aletta. And the fact that she can go invisible is insane. She can basically be invincible. You can't kill her. And that is crazy in and of itself. Her other ultimate is very good. It's the only thing that can beat Cosmo to an area, but you have to have it, and it has to go in a straight line. If you have any turns, it's harder to do. What they need to do, I've said this many times, her ultimate, you should be able to teleport whenever you want while it's on the go, and when you teleport to it, it should stop, right? So when you throw it, you can make it stop on the point and then do a lot more damage. I think that would be a quality of life update that would make her very skill dependent. It would make the skill gap higher without making her overpowered. That's the change I want to see to Shell. The biggest change, honestly. And if you guys are in the Discord for T3, I'm going to be putting that in as a suggestion because honestly, it's a huge quality of life change that would make her better in every way without making her overpowered, and she'd still stay in A tier because while she can go invincible, it's not enough to be overpowered. Her second active is not very good. It doesn't do very much damage. And in order to use it, you have to be close to them. So you're going to probably die if you don't have your first active on cooldown or if you time it wrong and stuff like that. And that's kind of where I feel she is right now. I think most of the changes would leave her in A. If she had her health regen back, she'd still be an A, maybe S. But that's what I want to see. Either her health regen comes back so she can actually brawl with some of these other heroes, because the problem is she gets in and she's toast. She comes out and she has no damage. And it sucks. It really sucks. I really want small quality of life changes for all the heroes. And they're not even very big buffs. So this is the final hero on the tier list. Get ready to freak out. I know you're going to close the video. Boom. Diggy's S tier. Pray to God that I change it, and I'm not going to because she's insane. She's super, super good, and she only has a few counters. I would say Skady is a counter because she can web her up, and Fade can use his ability to rush her and it'll burst her out of her shark form. And then I think Osas can insta kill her. I'm not sure if he can or not because it kind of counts as a headshot when you shoot her shark form. So I'll have to do some testing on that. But even then, I think she's S. She has a teleportation ability, and the only problem with it is she doesn't go down into like she should be invincible when she's like jumping up and diving into it, if that makes any sense. Because that's the only way you can counter her is wait for her to do that out in the open, where you can just shoot her when she's in a predictable animation. And most good Diggy players will use her where you're behind cover or behind an enemy or a teammate or something, or you spin when you activate it, stuff like that. And that's why she's an S. She can teleport. Her close up damage is insane. She has her shark form, which regenerates health at a pretty decent rate. And her first ultimate has gotten a buff, so it does more damage. You can essentially use that to do a ton of damage to everybody on the point or on the payload, and it does it in an area of effect that's really big. And on top of that, she jumps around when she does it, so you can't hit her when she's in her ultimate unless you have somebody who has really good tracking or homing rocket like Mark. She's very hard to counter for the average player. And if you get your hands on her, she's very good early game, especially for those lower level accounts like silver and bronze. If you see a Diggy, she's probably going to be very, very good. She's what got me out of silver. Right now, I'm in gold. I played her for a little while. She's an insane counter to Gatlin. She's the other one that I would say counters Gatlin. Most of these do. They're all average at countering Gatlin except for Shell, Yaw, and Diggy. If you teleport behind a Gatlin and she doesn't see you teleport, it's instant GG. You got her. Even if she has a healer, you can get the healer, turn into a shark, go in behind the Gatlin, get the Gatlin. I mean, she's crazy good. I cannot wait for her second ultimate to come back. If they rework it, that's cool. Um, she does need that quality of life change for her teleport to not be. Maybe she like flickers or is invincible, or maybe it's faster. I don't know. There's a lot of changes you can put into the game to make Diggy better, and I know you guys are gonna freak out. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm almost speechless because I know you guys are flaming me in the comments. You're saying, "Oh my god, why did I even watch this video?" But this is where I think they are for an average player. And also, I'm taking into account Gatlin. I'm taking into account where you get them. I'm taking into account what their abilities do and who you're going to be playing against. So, most people will pick Aletta just because she's the poster child. Most people will pick Shell if they're experienced. Nobody picks Yaw. Nobody picks Diggy. And if you learn how to use their kit for even just a little bit, their skill ceiling goes to the moon, and it's insane. I really wish that more people would give them some recognition, and I think that this is a pretty good tier list, you guys. I know I'm being trying to be unbiased, and that is kind of affecting where they are. Because if I'm being honest, Aletta's F for my personal opinion. I don't like her. I don't like playing her, and I just don't think that's fair to you guys. So I know that a lot of you guys are freaking out, but send this to the other creators, drop a sub, send this to whoever you want, because I think this is the most controversial tier list of them all. And I'm not afraid to show you guys where these heroes belong and why they are where they are. Everybody is loving Johnny, and I don't think he's very good. I never have a problem with Johnny. Honestly, I would any of these heroes, I would take a Johnny over all of them. All of them are harder to fight than Johnny. Johnny is super easy to counter. Not only does he have counters in the entire game by the roster themselves, but he's very easy to counter because he is just so predictable. he jumps and then automatically he's there the whole time. He might have a second jump in him, but you're going to know where he is at all times. And that's the downside to Johnny. He's not unpredictable like he used to be with the two puddles anymore, where he can move back and forth between them. And if he had that, I think he'd be A to S. But this is where he's going to stay. I know you guys are probably pretty mad at that, but I'm being objective, and he's very easy to counter if you just pay attention. So that's the tier list for you guys. We're going to be dropping a skin showcase and a Jabali guide later in the week. So probably maybe Monday for the Jabali guide. And then we'll do this one today, Friday. And let me know what you guys think. I really think this is a good tier list. Send this to all the other creators so they can be like, what the hell are you doing? But I was unbiased in this for you guys. And just remember that I don't really like to play flanker either. So this is as unopinionated as it gets because my personal opinion, I don't like Aletta. I really love Johnny. I'd put him in S if it was my opinion. I don't really like Yaw too much. And I kind of like Diggy. So this would be way different if it was my opinion. So I want you guys to know that I'm not just doing it because I like Diggy or something like that. And that's the video. Hope you guys enjoy. See you in the next one. Peace out.